to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari appoints Habiba Lawal as Special Advisor on Policy and Coordination. Bandits release 7 more kidnapped train passengers. Plus, first Ukrainian wheat shipments expected next week. Details of these stories and more in a moment. First in our news tonight, President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed Dr. Habiba Lawal as his special advisor on policy and coordination. This was contained in a statement by presidential aide Garba Shehu. Shehu noted that before retirement, Lawal had successfully supervised a team that ensured management, identification, planning, and execution of projects to mitigate serious ecological challenges across the country with commendable results. He said Lawal, who served as acting secretary to the government of the Federation from April 19 through October 30, 2017, has resumed in her new office. Away from that, the federal government has commended the leadership of the Nigeria Communications Commission for its strides, which the government said had earned remarkable international reputation for Nigeria and placed the telecoms regulator at the forefront of the country's quest for national economic growth. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, William Alo, said this while receiving the management team of the agency, led by its executive vice chairman Umar Dambata, who briefed him on the status of the industry after his appointment to the ministry. Alo said the quality of service had improved tremendously over the past few years and that the commission deserved a pat on the back for the feat. He requested the leadership of the commission to continue the good work and also strive to bridge the infrastructure gap that may create differences between the served and underserved communities in the country. Now, on legislative matters, Senate Public Accounts Committee has given the Nigerian Maritime and Safety Agency (NIMASA) 48 hours to present to it documents authorizing the payment of $5 million to a law firm for a service not rendered. The representative of NIMASA, Olamide Olusanya, told the committee that the matter was presently a subject of litigation in court. Olusanya explained that the agency was directed by the then Attorney General of the Federation to pay the $5 million legal fees. However, the committee, chaired by Senator Matthew Urogide, rejected the explanation and asked the agency to make presentation on the information at their disposal on the payment of legal fees to the law firm. Judicial matters now, where a federal high court sitting in Abuja has declared as illegal and invalid the unilateral amendment of the rules of professional conduct for legal practitioners in Nigeria by the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami. Justice Donatus Okorowo first dismissed the preliminary objections filed by the AGF and held that all reliefs sought by the Nigerian Bar Association succeeded. The AGF had argued that the NBA had no locus to file the suit, but in dismissing the objection, the court declared that the General Council of the Bar, which has the authority to amend the rules, is constituted by several members, so the rules could not therefore be legitimately amended by the singular desire and action of an individual. It would be recalled that in September 2020, the legal community woke up to the news of the unilateral amendment of the rules by the AGF. The AGF was reported to have said the amendment was made in the exercise of the powers conferred on him by the Legal Practitioners Act as Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, and as President of the General Council of the Bar. The General Council of the Bar comprises the Attorney General of the Federation, all the Attorneys General of the 36 states of Nigeria, and 20 legal practitioners representing the NBA. The purported amendment was immediately criticized by many lawyers, with the NBA especially contending that the AGF acted beyond his powers in amending the law, which was the prerogative of the General Council of the Bar. In a separate development, Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) has written ministries, departments and agencies to refund over 1 trillion naira in taxes they have failed to remit. Reports say the MDAs are mandated to collect the value-added tax (VAT) and withholding tax, which emanate from contracts awarded at the states and businesses they engage with, act as collection agents for the FIRS, and afterwards remit same to the service. Many MDAs reportedly failed to remit the taxes, which had accumulated to over 1 trillion naira over the years. Now, on security matters, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Oladayo Amao has visited Kaduna to review ongoing operations against terrorists and bandits. Amao directed troops to sustain the tempo of the fight against all criminal elements and destruction of their hideouts. Director of the Force Public Relations Air Commodore Edward Gabquet made this known. Gabquet said intensive air operations endured in the entire military theaters as the force aircraft continued to seek and decimate enemies of the state in their attempts to make life unbearable for Nigerians. Still on security, Inspector General of Police Usman Baba has likened police officers extorting motorists to armed robbery, warning that the force under his control would not tolerate such actions. Baba sounded the warning at the Gombe State Police Command headquarters as part of his 2-day familiarization visit to the state. The police force under Baba's leadership recently dismissed 3 policemen following misconduct, which he said was against the principles guiding the institution's existence. While clarifying the reasons behind their dismissal, Baba underscored the need for the entrenchment of discipline, stressing that it was the bedrock of any organization. The IGP noted that it was required for officers to show themselves respect, especially in a regimented agency. Meanwhile, 7 more kidnapped passengers of the March 28 train attack in Kaduna State have regained their freedom. The victims were released this morning after spending 135 days in the custody of the terrorists. A member of the negotiating team, Tukaro Mamu, told newsmen that 6 of the released hostages were members of the same family, comprising a couple and their 4 children. The terrorists also released a 60-year-old woman, Aisha Hassan, who was said to have been freed due to life-threatening health challenges that deteriorated recently. In politics, Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo has denied writing a letter to the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, asking him to give the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, a chance in the 2023 presidential elections. Akufo-Addo also noted that he never told Tinubu to seek treatment for his health, as contained in the purported letter making the rounds on social media. Advising people on his verified Twitter handle to disregard the report, the Ghanaian president described the report as false and mischievous. Now, in education, the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board (JAMB) has released the results of the recently conducted MAPUP 2022 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examinations (UTME). This was announced in a statement by the board's head of Public Affairs and Protocol, Fabian Benjamin, in Abuja. Benjamin said the board had emplaced a user-friendly and simplified process of checking UTME results in line with its desire to adhere to the ease of doing business protocol of the government. He explained that all a candidate needed to check the results of the 2022 UTME mop-up examination result conducted last Saturday was to send result to 55019. Benjamin said the simplified process would also preclude the exploitation of candidates by shy-luck business centers and cyber cafes that often take advantage of candidates. Back here, the National Board for Technical Education has granted accreditation to 8 courses offered by the Federal Polytechnic Ukana in Akwa Ibom State. This was contained in a statement by the institution's public relations officer Manasseh Umoite in Uyo. According to the statement, the approval was contained in a letter signed by the board's director of polytechnic programs, architect Ogo Ngbede, and addressed to the rector, Dr. Udwak Ukepe. The accredited programs are National Diploma, Civil Engineering, National Diploma, Electrical Electronics Engineering, National Diploma, Computer Engineering, National Diploma Science Laboratory Technology, National Diploma Computer Science, National Diploma Statistics, National Diploma Accountancy, and National Diploma Business Administration and Management. According to the statement, the approval was sequel to the results inspection and verification embarked on by the board's visitation team in the Polytechnic between July 13 and 14, 2022. Now in Africa, a court in Tunisia is reported to have suspended the dismissal of 50 judges who were fired by President Kais Saied 2 months ago. Saied had accused the judges of corruption and protecting terrorists. In response, judges across Tunisia went on strike in a significant challenge to Saied's authority. Opponents of the president saw the sackings as another attempt to increase his power and weaken civil institutions. Still in Africa, Congolese army has blamed militant Islamist group Allied Democratic Forces for a prison break which took place in Butembo in the east of the country. During the jailbreak in Kakwangura Central Prison, more than 800 inmates reportedly escaped. Captain Anthony Malushai said about 80 heavily armed militia had attacked the prison to free inmates, including 12 Allied Democratic Forces women who were in custody in an operation that lasted for about a quarter of an hour. He said 2 policemen guarding the prison were killed and 3 Allied Democratic Forces fighters captured by civilians and burnt alive, bringing the official death toll to at least 5. Elsewhere, 42 Malian soldiers have died from an attack at the weekend by suspected jihadists. The army announced this today in a document naming the fatalities, revising an earlier figure of 21 deaths. According to reports, the toll is one of the bloodiest in Mali's decade-long insurgency, which has spread from the north of the country to the center and south, and into neighboring Burkina Faso and Niger. It could be recalled that the attack occurred on Sunday in the town of Tessit in the troubled 3-border region where the frontiers of the 3 nations converge. Now in Kenya, the Director of Public Prosecutions has ordered the arrest of a member of Parliament, Didymus Barasa, who is alleged to have shot an aide to his opponent in yesterday's general election. According to reports, the Kimilili parliamentarian has been missing since the shooting incident in the western town of Bungoma, and police have launched a manhunt for him. Reports say voting was largely peaceful across the country, but there were at least 3 gun-related incidents involving politicians. Authorities are investigating an aspiring member of parliament who drew his gun at a polling station in Siaya County in western Kenya. Away from that, people who refused a marriage proposal in Mangalme in northeastern Chad will now pay a fine known as Amchilini. The region's higher Islamic Council ruled that the figure should be between 23 and $39 for women and $15 for men. Forced marriages are reportedly prevalent in Chad, with young underage girls the usual victims. According to figures from Chad's Institute of Statistics, despite a law passed in 2015 that prohibits child marriages, 60% of women aged between 20 and 24 got married as children. The Chadian Women's Rights League has launched the hashtag #StopAmchilini to denounce the decision, saying it violates a national law guaranteeing freedom of consent to marriage. Still to come in the news. China dominates as Nigeria spends $2.3 billion on phone imports in 3 years. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying tuned. Moving on now to the foreign scene, where protesters in Sri Lanka brought down the previous government today, announced that they were dismantling their main demonstration site near the president's office in the wake of a crackdown against their leaders. The group, led by university students and leftist parties, said they were clearing out their tents along the Gallifrey seafront promenade in the capital. The spokesman said they had also withdrawn 4 court challenges against a police order for them to vacate the area, which claimed their tents were a hindrance to nearby hotels. The demonstrations began on April 9 as a protest against shortages of essentials such as fuel, food, and medicines in Sri Lanka's worst ever economic crisis. They peaked when thousands poured into Colombo and overran Gotabaya Rajapaksa's presidential palace on July 9, forcing him to flee and eventually resign. Still on the foreign scene, United Nations says the first wartime wheat from Ukraine should ship next week under a landmark deal also signed by Russia to tackle the global food crisis. According to the interim UN coordinator at the Joint Center in Istanbul overseeing the deal, Frederick Kenny, the first 12 ships to leave the 3 Black Sea ports designated by the agreement were carrying 370,000 tons of corn and foodstuff. The agreement, signed by the warring parties and UN and Turkish officials last month in Istanbul, was hailed as a major opportunity to tackle the global food crisis caused by the war. However, Ukraine needed to first deal with the corn, much of it used as animal feed, that was contractually agreed with global clients at the time of Russia's invasion. Meanwhile, the first ship to leave Ukraine, the Sierra Leone flagged vessel Razoni, had docked in Turkey's Mediterranean seaport of Mersin today. In the meantime, Russia has requested an urgent meeting of the UN Security Council to discuss the situation at the Zaporizhzhia power plant. Russia's representative to international organizations in Vienna, Mikhail Ulyanov, announced this in a statement. Ulyanov said the meeting will be held tomorrow in New York. He also accused Ukraine of creating artificial obstacles and difficulties to a potential International Atomic Energy Agency mission to the nuclear power plant. In a related development, foreign ministers from the G7 group of nations are asking Russia to immediately hand back control of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant to Ukraine. They accused Moscow's forces of putting the entire region in danger. The facility and its surrounding area saw shelling last week, which Russia and Ukraine blamed on each other. Ukraine says Russia has turned the site into a military base, launching attacks from there, knowing that Ukrainian forces are unlikely to retaliate. The complex, Europe's largest, has been under Russian occupation since early March, although Ukrainian technicians still operated. Still on the crisis, Ukraine's Air Force says 9 Russian warplanes were destroyed in the explosions that rocked a Russian airbase in the annexed Crimean Peninsula. The Air Force's claim, posted on Facebook alongside the overall losses Kyiv says Russia has suffered during the war, came amid speculation the blasts were the result of a Ukrainian attack that would represent a significant escalation in the conflict. Russia has said the explosions were detonations of stored ammunition, not the result of an attack, but Ukraine suggested the blasts could have been caused by Russian incompetence or an attack by partisans. Meanwhile, Russian-appointed governor of Crimea has said 1 person was killed and 14 others wounded during a series of blasts at a Russian airbase on the annexed peninsula. Sergei Avzionov said in a Telegram post that 252 people had also been moved to temporary accommodation facilities following the blasts. He added that Russia's investigative committee, a federal body charged with investigating major crimes, was undertaking inspections of the Saki base on the Black Sea as part of an investigation into the explosion there. Russia's defense ministry has denied that the base had been shelled amid speculation it may have been attacked by Ukrainian forces, and instead said munitions had blown up there. To more developments from Russia's invasion, Ukrainian military has reported that a bridge in the occupied part of Kherson region has been rendered unusable after being struck by artillery earlier in the week. In a Facebook update, Operational Command South said its fire control over transport and logistical routes in the temporarily occupied territory of Kherson had rendered the bridge near the Kakhovka hydroelectric plant unusable. It said the strike was delicate but effective. Now, Denmark will send military instructors to Britain to help train Ukrainian soldiers and also offer to train Ukrainian officers on its soil. The Danish Defense Ministry confirmed this in a statement today. It said Denmark would support the British-led training project with 130 Danish soldiers. The ministry noted that the instructors will provide basic military training, including urban combat and tactical operations, to Ukrainian soldiers with zero to limited military experience. Denmark has contributed to both British and Canadian training missions in Ukraine since 2015 and provided weapons and cybersecurity support to Ukraine since Russia invaded its neighbor in February. In another development, former U.S. President Donald Trump has declined to answer questions under oath in New York over alleged fraud at his family business. This is as legal pressures pile up for Trump, whose house was raided by the FBI just 2 days ago. Trump said he had no choice but to invoke the Fifth Amendment, which allows individuals to remain silent to protect against self-incrimination under questioning. In a statement, Trump said he declined to answer the questions under the rights and privileges afforded to every citizen under the United States Constitution, adding that he took the advice from his legal counsel. Trump earlier said on social media he was in the offices of New York Attorney General Letitia James, whose investigation is one of several active probes into the brash billionaire's business practices and other actions. The former president took to his Truth Social platform to launch a barrage of attacks on James, branding her a racist attorney general who is trying to get him. Away from that, China says it will resolutely fight back should the U.S. make one more provocation. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin gave the warning at a daily press conference. He said the U.S. side should ditch the idea of using Taiwan to contain China before it was too late. The spokesperson reiterated that U.S. House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi's recent Taiwan visit violated the One China principle and is a serious provocation. He also defended Chinese countermeasures in wake of the visit, saying the measures are fully reasonable, appropriate, and moderate, and were imposed after U.S. provocations. Elsewhere, a fire that destroyed thousands of hectares of tinder-dry forest in southwest France has flared again amid a fierce drought and the summer's latest wave of extreme heat. In a statement, the Gironde regional officials said an additional 6,000 hectares of pine forest had burned in the Landiras blaze since yesterday, forcing the evacuation of about 6,000 people. The country's Seine River has had to be put down, ending a dramatic rescue mission that captivated world audiences. Officials say vets took the decision as the 4-meter mammal was being moved in a refrigerated truck. Overnight, rescuers spent nearly 6 hours lifting the 800-kilogram whale from the river using a crane and nets. They had planned to release the animal in the sea, but its health deteriorated after failing to eat. Sea Shepherd France Conservation Group wrote in a Twitter post that it was with heavy hearts they announced that the beluga did not survive. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. We have Blyden Okem standing by.
Thank you, Xavier Roberts. Good evening. It's another business day. My name is Blyden Okem. In the news, we begin with U.S. Economic Index as U.S. inflation rate slows more than expected to 8.5%. The annual inflation rate in the U.S. slowed more than expected to 8.5% in July of 2022 from over 40-year high of 9.1% hit in June and below market forecast of 8.7%. Inflation is a general increase in prices and a fall in the purchasing value of money. Energy Consumer Price Index CPI rose by 32.9% after hitting a 42-year high of 41.6% in June, mainly due to a drop in gasoline costs, fuel costs, natural gas, while electricity prices accelerated to 15.2%. the most since February 2006. Costs also dropped for new vehicles and airline fares. On the other hand, inflation continued to march higher for food at 10.9%, the largest increase since May of 1979, shelter, used cars, and as well as trucks. Compared to the previous month, the CPI was unchanged after hitting a 17-year high of 1.3% and also below forecast of 0.2%. Core inflation was steady at 5.9%, beating expectations of 6.1% and offering some support that inflation has finally peaked. In Africa, Ghana's economics index indicates that inflation rate rises to 31.7% in July 2022. Ghana's inflation rate rose further in the month of July 2022 after the headline rate surged to 31.7% from 29.8% recorded in the previous month. Recall that the country's inflation rate touched a 19-year high in June as a result of a surge in transportation costs. The hike in transport costs is due to the sustained global prices in energy, which has seen the prices of gasoline hit record highs as crude oil prices remain elevated. Also, higher cost of household equipment and maintenance and utilities like electricity, gas, and water contributed to uptick in the inflation numbers. The West African nation has witnessed a sharp rise in its year-on-year inflation rate, despite averaging 12% in the last quarter of 2021. However, the inflation rate averaged 27% in the second quarter of 2022 and is set upward with a 31.7% rate in the review month. In Nigeria, China dominates as Nigeria spends $2.3 billion on phone imports in 3 years. According to International Trade Center data, Nigeria spent $2.35 billion on telephone imports during a 3-year period. The country spent $807.95 million on phone sets and imports in 2019, $765.57 million in 2020, and $772.25 million in 2021. The imported telephone sets comprise cell phones, facsimile machines for line telephony, teleprinters, phone set parts, and more. The statistics also indicated that the majority of phone sets entering the nation were from China. Nigeria also imports from other nations such as Hong Kong, Sweden, the United States, Netherlands, Vietnam, Mexico, and others. Meanwhile, according to Nigerian Communication Commission's NCC, about 63 million technology devices were sold in Nigeria every year. And still in Nigeria, federal government disburses 100 billion naira to Nigerian-owned drug manufacturers. President Muhammadu Buhari has disclosed that his administration disbursed the said amount to indigenous pharmaceutical manufacturers, with healthcare investors also benefiting from the fund. It was revealed on Tuesday during the visit of the new executive members of the Nigerian Medical Association to the presidential villa in Abuja. The federal government had financed the operation of the Nigerian-owned healthcare companies through the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to improve the production of medicine within the country. The disbursement had begun after the COVID-19 outbreak and was provided to sustain the healthcare's contribution to the Nigerian economy. The industry was considered as an essential sector during the lockdown. And it's time for the Nigerian stock market report. At the end of today's trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the benchmark all-share index increased by 724.76 basis points to close at 50,075.47 points. When compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 99% improvement in volume, 30% improvement in turnover, but 8% decline in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 27 trillion naira. In the aggregate, 101 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 20 gainers and 10 losers. Dangote Cement led gainers with 9.96% share price appreciation, closing at 265 naira per share. On the losing side, Lafarge Wapco came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 8.84% at 23 naira 20 kobo per share. Jazz Bank recorded the highest volume of 115 million traded shares. This is all on business news, and back to Xavier Robert for the rest of the news.
Many thanks, Blyden. Still to come in the news. World Cup 2022 tournament set to start one day early with Qatar versus Ecuador. Please stay with us. for staying tuned. In health, Lagos State Ministry of Health has announced a partnership with the United Nations Population Fund on cancer control. The ministry said the partnership was to ensure that cancer screening services in the state were more accessible and readily available in public health facilities. It made this known in a press statement issued and signed by the Director of Public Affairs, Tombosun Ogumbanwo. The ministry stated that, as part of the partnership, it had sponsored an 8-day training program for 200 health workers on breast and cervical cancer screening. Still in health, scientists are tracking a new animal-derived virus in eastern China that has infected at least several dozen people. The novel Langia henipavirus was found in 35 patients in the Shandong and Henan provinces. Many reportedly had symptoms such as fever, fatigue, and a cough. They are thought to have contracted the virus from animals, but there is no evidence so far that the virus can transmit among humans. Researchers detected the virus predominantly in shrews. The discovery was highlighted in a letter written by researchers from China, Singapore, and Australia, and published in the New England Journal of Medicine this month. It is over now to Bright James for trending sports stories.
Thank you, Xavier Robert. Good evening and welcome to the Sports Desk. I am Bright James. We'll begin with the story of the World Cup set to start one day earlier than planned on Sunday, 20th November, with host Qatar taking on Ecuador. The Group A opener was due to be played on the 21st November as the third match of the competition. The opening match of the tournament was to be Senegal against the Netherlands earlier on that same Monday. However, the administrative arm of world governing body FIFA submitted a proposal to move the Qatar game. It followed discussions with Qatar and the opponents Ecuador after receiving a request from the South American Confederation, CONMEBOL. Back here in Africa, African football will support FIFA President Gianni Infantino in his re-election bid next year, the Confederation of African Football CAF President Patrice Motsepe said. CAF officially endorsed the candidacy of Infantino at its general meeting in Tanzania earlier today, with Motsepe reiterating support from the Confederation itself and also on behalf of member associations to our brother based in Europe. He re-elected unopposed as president of football's world governing body in 2019, and Infantino is set to stand for a third term at the 73rd FIFA Congress next year. Elsewhere, a second-tier football club in Sierra Leone will be allowed to play in promotion playoffs despite still being under investigation for alleged match manipulation in the game, which finished 91-1. Gulf FC qualified for the Super 10 phase of the league after the defeat at Kogwima, Lebanon 3-0, while closest challengers Kahundla Rangers lost 1-0 to Lumbebo United in replayed matches on Sunday. Now, the meetings between the respective clubs last month drew global headlines after Kano-based Gulf beat city rivals Kokwima by a margin of 90 goals, and Rangers from Kiname thrashed Lumbebo United 95-0. Those two results were annulled because of allegations of match manipulation, forcing the Sierra Leone Football Association, SLFA, to launch an investigation. And that's all from the Sports Desk this evening. I am Bright James. Over now to Peter Bryan for entertainment news.
Thanks, Bright James. Hello and welcome to the Entertainment Desk. I am Beat O'Brien. First in our bulletins this evening, Two-Face apologizes for the embarrassment he's caused his kids and family. Nigerian music icon Two-Face Idibia has, in a shocking but interesting post, apologized to his wife, kids, mom and management for being an embarrassment to them all. In a lengthy post shared via his Instagram page on Monday, August 2022, the music star said he's not looking for sympathy from anyone but was actually setting the record straight. He says that he is actually sorry for the embarrassment he has caused, but this wouldn't be the first time the music icon will be standing behind his wife in public. However, this is the first time he'll be apologizing to his family publicly for the wrongdoings he has done to them. A few months ago, the music star and his wife Annie were caught in a messy crisis. In September 2021, the actress called out her husband over suspicions of a relationship with one of his baby mamas, Pero. She also accused his family of not loving and caring about them since her marriage. The mother of two said her husband's family has frustrated the marriage for the past 10 years. A few weeks later, an audio taping of the movie star surfaced where she threatened fire and brimstone. Two-Face later released a statement asking the public to back off his marital issues. She later released a statement on her Instagram page apologizing to the music star and his family. Obviously still pained about the music star's past relationship, the actress once again brought it up as a topic during one of the episodes of Netflix's original TV series, Young, African and Famous. According to the actress, she has been subject to humiliations and embarrassments and will always be questions on how Two-Face makes the same mistake twice. Two-Face now is also under suspicion of having impregnated a certain banker following his most recent apology. It will be recalled that Annie and Two-Face got married in May 2021 and they have two daughters together, Isabel and Olivia. In our next story this evening, Kiss Daniel has apologized to Tanzanians and promised free shows for fans. Nigerian music star Oluwatobi Babola Daniel, better known as Kiss Daniel, has apologized to Tanzanian music fans for failing to show up at the Summer Amplified show. Straight Up Vibes organized the event. The organizers of Summer Amplified shows in Tanzania did then arrest the hitmaker, Buga hitmaker, for failing to perform at the well-publicized show on Sunday night. The singer's absence angered fans who came to see him perform, causing them to thrash the show's venue. In an interview session with radio personality Daddy Freeze, the show promoter Steve Uwa said Kiss Daniel opted out of the show because the airline that flew him did not bring all his baggage. The show promoter revealed that Kiss Daniel was booked for over $60,000. He also revealed that he spent nothing less than $300,000 in putting the show together because it was a premium event. He lamented that the flimsy reason the singer gave for failing to perform and explained why they got him arrested. Explaining the reason behind why he missed the show, Kiss Daniel, while addressing press in Tanzania, said he arrived from Nairobi from Kampala. The plane he flew was supposedly connecting flight but departed late. He said he stayed in Nairobi for 8 hours and got a connecting flight at 8:30 p.m. Lastly, from the entertainment decks, Davido's Fall re-enters Billboard charts after performance at Travis Scott's concert. Davido's international hit Fall has re-entered the Billboard Afrobeat song charts on the charts dated August 13, 2022. After Davido's show-stopping performance in Travis Scott's London O2 Arena concert on Saturday, 6 August 2022, his 2017 smash single Fall has re-entered the Billboard Afrobeat song chart. Fall re-entered the chart at the 50th place. Before its re-entry, Fall reached a peak position at 18th and spent a total of 18 weeks on the charts. Its re-entry can be credited to the nostalgic song, which drew audiences' reactions at the O2 Arena. When Fall was released, it was part of the monster hit If, Fire, and Like That Davido released in 2017, and of all the songs, it was Fall that traveled the furthest beyond the shores of Nigeria. Fall enjoyed huge success in the US, UK, and other European countries, where it was introduced with new audiences in Afrobeats. It was then certified gold in the US, where it has earned more than 500,000 units in sales. Its re-entry into the charts after Davido performed in London with one of Africa's biggest American artists in a testament to his popularity. It is left to be seen with a re-entry that will support it to another run in the United States. And that's our package from the entertainment desk this evening. I am Beat O'Brien, thanking you for watching. Over to Xavier Roberts.
And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. Do have a terrific night rest.